Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Yinka, your favorite online Agile coach. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you so much for always watching my YouTube videos. Thank you so much for always listening to the Exceptional Scrum Master podcast. I'm super excited to have you in my corner. So today I have good news for you, for all of you who have sent me messages over and over again, looking for a coaching program or looking for mentorship. I found the perfect solution for you. And today I'd like to introduce you to my group coaching mentorship program. This is a 10-week program where we spend time understanding the concepts of Agile, where you implement many of these practices that you're going to learn. And when you practice over and over again, many of you have sent me messages over and over again looking for coaching, and this group coaching program is the perfect fit for you. You're going to be getting exactly everything that I teach in my one-on-one, but this time it's going to be me and you and other people who would be your partner and your cheerleaders, where you guys are going to be working together, learning together, and growing together. So if you think I give you good value in my YouTube videos and my podcast episodes, then guess what? You are in for a great time, because when it comes to coaching and mentorship, I go all the way. I spend quality time ensuring that you understand the concepts. I want you to be better than I am. I want you to be an exceptional Scrum Master. And so I pour out all of me into my coaching program. So trust me, you are not going to be the same once you go through my coaching program. That is a guarantee that I have for you. So if you're interested, I have my latest offering starting pretty soon. So ensure that you sign up now, because registration is going to be closing really soon. So I'm looking forward to spending a great time with you, where you are going to learn, grow, be transformed, and start living that dream life that you desire. So if you're ready to sign up, click in the link below and I'll catch you on the inside. All right, guys. So now let's head over to today's episode. Now, a little birdie told me that Scrum Masters do not know how to facilitate Scrum events, and that is very disappointing. I mean, that is your basic responsibility as a Scrum Master. You're meant to help facilitate events. So if you do not know how to facilitate Scrum events, then I beg to say that you're not doing your job very well. But that is why I'm here. I'm here to support you. I'm here to provide you all the tools, resources, and knowledge that you need to be exceptional. So guess what? I will teach you today on how to run and facilitate those Scrum events. And for today's episode, we're going to be learning how to facilitate the daily Scrum. Okay? So now let's get into it. What is a daily Scrum? Now, the daily Scrum is an event that happens daily, and the purpose of this event is to inspect progress towards the sprint goal. Now, if you're working in a scaled event, this daily Scrum has been changed to Team Sync, right? So it doesn't matter. Team Sync, daily Scrum, daily stand-up, it's all the same thing. It's a daily meeting where the team members are going to meet every day and they're going to inspect their progress towards their sprint goal. Now, the sprint goal would have been decided during the sprint planning session, right? And so now every day we're going to be inspecting how we're doing and how we are progressing. Now, this meeting is a 15-minute meeting that happens every day. So whether it's face-to-face or virtual, you want to ensure that it's happening same place, same time. So if it's a physical location, you guys find a perfect spot in your organization where you guys will huddle over and then talk, chat about your daily progress. Now, if you're working remotely, then you guys set up a time, whether it's a Zoom call, a Teams meeting, whatever it is, find the perfect time where every member will be available so that they can share their progress. So put into consideration the time zones, people on Eastern time, Western time, people across the world. Make sure you find a suitable time that might sometimes be inconvenient for some or a few people, but let it be a time that at least everyone can meet. So it might be sometimes a bit early for those in the United States, sometimes slightly late for those, over in India, based on time difference, but let it be a time that works for everyone. Make sure that meeting is 15 minutes. Now, 15 minutes is for the daily Scrum. Now, you can have meet after, where after we've discussed what is important and what our progress is, we can have a meet after where we kind of share deeper updates, regarding anything that might be, but ensure that you are keeping to that 15-minute time frame. Now, for you to be able to have an effective daily scrum. There's certain things that you need to do and have in place. Before your daily scrum, ensure that your team has updated their board, right? Because sometimes even when we've kind of planned what we're working on for, from our sprint planning session, you find out that once we kick off the sprint, many times there are certain things that are not working right. For one, there is no reason why a story that has not been estimated should be in the sprint. Okay, so you should correct that even before we kick off our sprint. Now, before the actual daily scrum kicks off on a daily basis, spend like 10 minutes before that call as a scrum master to ensure that those cards are updated. So whether you have a Teams meeting, a Slack channel, whatever works for you in your organization, have a place where you guys regularly communicate, where you can check up on the team and tell them, hey, daily scrum starts in 5 minutes, please make out that time to update your card. The reason why this is important is because it allows you guys to keep to that time frame, because when you guys are spending time updating your cards and doing all of that in that meeting, then you're going to spend more than 15 minutes. So make sure that you kind of send them those reminders to, update their cards. You don't want to start spending time on the call trying to figure out like, okay, is this in progress? Are you working on this? Or sometimes the team might actually be working on things that they did not create a card for, or they did not create a task for. So you want to kind of get your team into that habit of creating cards, creating their tasks, having those estimated before the daily scrum meeting. Those are some of the ways that you can get them ready to ensure that you have an effective meeting ahead of time. So just to give you a quick recap, you want to figure out what time you guys are going to be having this meeting every day. You want to figure out where you guys are going to be having this meeting. You want to figure out, the time of that meeting. You want to ensure that you give maybe like an extra 10 minutes on top of that meeting for your meet after. So for example, you could either have a 20-minute meeting where 15 minutes is the actual daily scrum and there's 5 minutes for meet after conversations, or you could even decide to have 15 minutes for daily scrum, an extra 10 minutes for meet over, or a maximum of 30 minutes where you have 15 minutes for daily scrum, and let's say you have an extra 15 minutes for meet after. Now, many times because we are remote, we find out that sometimes when we join the call, sometimes we're a bit chatty, where we're like, hey, how are you doing? How was your weekend? All of that, because all work and no play makes your team dull. So it's expected that a few times you're going to have those chatty conversations. And it's good for you as a scrum master to plan those out. So let's assume that I have a 15-minute meeting on the invite. I'm going to plan that the first 3 minutes is my chatty where everyone's checking up on themselves, and the 15 minutes is the daily scrum. So that means I've spent 18 minutes, and then the remaining 12 minutes could be reserved for a meet after, right? So you can plan yourself that way, but ensure that every activity that's going to happen within that daily scrum is taken care of time-wise, right? So let's assume that I'm about to run a daily scrum and, my team members are on the call. So I could start the day with, hi guys, how you guys doing? How was your weekend? Hope you're having a great day. What did you guys do this weekend? So I could quickly throw in, something interesting, just kind of get people talking. And then once people kind of talk, I could be like, hey guys, now let's get started with our daily scrum. The purpose of our daily scrum today will be to inspect our progress. How are we doing with our sprint goals? So I'm going to pass the ball to the first person on my team. And let's say I have a Jason on my team. I'm going to say, hey, Jason, can you help us kick off this call with your progress? And that way I've passed the ball to Jason. And now Jason starts talking about his progress. Remember that we're just checking on progress. So this is not a time for you to start talking about your history and how you were born and all that kind of stuff. No, this is not the time. This is the time for you to just share progress on your task. So this is what I'm working on. I'm making good progress. I think I'm going to finish right on time. I don't have any impediments. Nothing is at risk over here. And I think I am going to fulfill my commitment towards the sprint goal. You can do that in less than a minute, literally, right? And then at that point, pass the ball to the next person, and everybody kind of passes the ball around till everybody is done. Now, as a scrum master, don't be absent-minded in that meeting. Ensure that you are paying attention to what people are saying. So for example, Jason says, oh, I'm working on this story, blah, 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 blah. And you don't even see the story he's talking about on the board. What do? Do you keep quiet? Hell no. You are going to ask Jason, I don't see the story that you're talking about on the board. And that way you give Jason the opportunity to say, oh, that was something that, just came up yesterday and I have to work on it. It's important, for the goal that we are working on, and I have to create a new task for it. And that way Jason will go ahead and create a task. Now, there's a possibility that if you say, Jason, what you're talking about, I don't see it on the board. And you ask, like, how important is this task to our goal? Because remember, we're trying to gather progress towards the sprint goal. So everything that we're working on should be geared towards the sprint goal. If it's not, and the product owner and the entire team is not aware of it, then there is something wrong and we need to fix that. And that's why, as a Scrum Master, please pay attention. You're not just there to kind of share your screen and be quiet. You need to understand what the team is talking about. How are they progressing towards their goal? That is how you resolve impediments, because if there is no flow, then there is a blocker somewhere that you need to figure out. Sometimes your teams may not talk about the blockers that they're facing because they might think that they might have a plan out for it. But in reality, if they're not talking about it, and you see that, you need to speak about it and find out how you could resolve that problem. So ensure that as everyone is speaking on your team, you're paying attention. Everything you're talking about needs to be on that board where we can see it and we can track the progress to that board. And clearly let everyone take their turns where they talk. And imagine if you have a 10-man team, you guys already done in 10 minutes. So even if I spend 2 minutes, making us chat about how our day is going, I've spent 12 minutes where I still have an extra 3 minutes for us to kind of chat even more and close the meeting early. So ensure that you know exactly what that meeting is about. You know how to gather people. Don't be afraid to kind of cut in and speak and let people know that, hey, they've spent too much time and we need to move on. So for example, if I'm Jason and I'm just talking and you can be like, hey, Jason, we don't want to go into details. Just kind of share, the top progress that you're working on. And that way Jason can pull his thoughts together and give you the top progress. Okay. So that way, and then when you do that too often, people are going to get the memo and understand that this is not a meeting to deep dive into topics. This is a meeting to share progress and keep it moving. Okay. Now, something else that you also want to do, and why it's good for you to kind of like check up on the team before the meeting, is for you to actually even find out people who are going to be on the call. Because now that we work remotely, you don't know people if they're going to show up or not, right? You don't even know if they're working today until they do not show up for a meeting. So you can actually even quickly chat with your team members to say, who is working today or who will not be attending the daily Scrum today. So that if it's possible, maybe they have a conflict or whatever the case might be, they may be able to provide you an update, and they may be able to kind of like move their cards and kind of share their updates via Slack, Teams, or whatever the case is. Because in reality, there are a few times when people might have conflicts and genuine conflicts that will not help them show up. And there's still other ways that they can share their updates. So as a Scrum Master, that is how you run a daily Scrum. So please, after today, I need you to be exceptional in the way you run your daily Scrum. And the more you do it, the more you own this meeting, the better you will become, the more confident you will be, where you'll be able to control the conversation, control, the activity and the process, and get everybody going in the right direction. So 7 things that you need to know upfront is, this is 15 minutes. That 15 minutes is our daily Scrum meeting. We're only talking about progress of the sprint goal. Now, if my team is a bit chatty, I am going to incorporate the time for chattiness in this meeting, right? If my team members always have questions, I'm going to incorporate a meet after in my meeting, so that every activity that we do as a team, I factor in the time so that I have the sufficient time for us to still achieve all of those goals, which I broke down to us already. So the maximum time that you want to have will be 30 minutes, but your daily Scrum still remains 15 minutes. And then you have that extra time for meet afters, chattiness, questions, or maybe people that want to deep dive into further conversations. Okay. So it's very important that if you want to have an effective daily Scrum, that you plan ahead and just don't stroll into the meeting. Have a proper plan, understand each of the activities that will happen, and guide everybody's conversation so that conversation can be on time and it can be effective. Now, another thing I like to share that would help you become effective as you run a daily Scrum is to pay attention to the stories that are estimated within that sprint. So let's assume that a task is estimated as a 1-story point. And that 1-story point is taking 5 to 6 days for the team to work on it. You need to talk about it because clearly 1-story point should not be taking 6 days. That's like almost the entire sprint. So ensure that besides the fact that you're looking at the stories and how that flow is moving, you're also looking at how long is this story in a particular workflow, right? How long is this taking? So if a story is estimated as a 1 or a 2, why should it be taking forever? So ensure that you're checking, their story estimates to make sure that progress is actually flowing on the stories and the stories are not just staying stuck in progress. And before you know it, the sprint is over. And then we have all this bunch of stories that we have not worked on that we have to pull back into the sprint. So as a Scrum Master, please stay active on the work. Stay active on the conversation to understand they're talking about the things that really matter and matter towards the sprint goal, and ensure that you are watching, the stories, the story point, you're asking questions to ensure that there's a consistent flow. And if for any reason, any story will not be done, it's important that you involve your product owner early on so that those conversations can be had and your product owner can make a decision on the work that has been committed to. Now, this is some of the ways that you can make your daily Scrum much, much effective. So watch this video over and over and over again till you learn everything that will help you become exceptional. And then you go out there and make your team truly effective. As always, thank you so much for always watching. Thank you for the views. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the comments. And if you're looking for coaching or you're looking for mentorship, I have a coaching program that is starting pretty soon, precisely June 7th. So you want to sign up to this program. This is for aspiring Scrum Masters who are looking to become exceptional in their role. So you don't want to miss this opportunity. It starts in a few weeks. So sign up. You're going to see the link in the description of today's video. Make sure you sign up. And if you have any question, send me an email and I'll respond as soon as possible. Thank you so much for always watching. And I cannot wait to catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.